Looking ahead, we face more complex challenges, but we can create an outstanding future together. What we have today is special. Don't take it for granted. It's an extraordinary achievement, the result of hard work by a united population over many years, working with good leaders, making Singapore an exceptional country. Whether you go to the developed world for a holiday and come back, whether you go to the neighboring countries in our region and come back, I think if you're honest, you know when you come back to Singapore, you say, I'm glad to be home. Because this is a place where there's very few others like it in the world. And people know this. I think our people know this. I think that many people in the world know this. And our Singapore brand is respected all over the world. Everywhere we go, we are proud to be Singaporeans. If you look away from the policies, away from the details, all the fine print of the schemes and the programs and so on, I think we have one basic choice which we have to make at this turning point. And the basic choice is this: what sort of Singapore do we want to be 20 years from now? Do we want to be still an exceptional country, one which is unique and which people look up to around the world? Or are we content for Singapore to be an ordinary country, getting by, but no different from so many other cities all over Asia? It's not hard to be ordinary. You can get by. But without a hinterland, if you become just like any other city in Asia, then there's no reason for people to be here, to invest here, for talent to stay here, or even for able Singaporeans in the next generation to want to remain. And then Singaporeans may leave for bigger and better opportunities elsewhere. If we want to continue to be exceptional, then you must make a special effort. Special effort to look ahead, anticipate problems and opportunities, to build for the long term, patiently, resolutely, year by year, whether it's good weather or bad, and to keep our politics pragmatic and constructive so that the political basis is there for us to do work which makes sense for Singapore and for us to work together for the common good. And I believe that to keep Singapore exceptional is a goal well worth striving for. We've shown that we can do it, otherwise we wouldn't be here today. And now we have the opportunity to build something which is truly outstanding in Singapore. And as the song says, show the world what Singapore can do. We deserve it, our children deserve no less, because we want our children to grow up in a city, in a country which they are proud of and which is something special and enables them to flower to the maximum. It's the basis on which we are planning and we are moving on the programs in Singapore to develop our economy, our education and so on over the next 5 years. I won't go through all these programs, but I would like to share with you just some pictures, just to give you a sense of the things which we are doing and why they are worth doing. We are developing new growth industries, for example, precision engineering. Companies here used to make TV and radio components. Now they produce sophisticated products, and this thing which is being made in Singapore is equipment to make semiconductors. So you're not just having semiconductor production lines here where they make the wafers and the chips, but you're making the machinery to make the wafers and the chips in Singapore, one level up. You don't put that in any ordinary country. We are developing our infrastructure. You probably haven't seen this part of Singapore. It's deep underground. It's the Jurong Rock Cavern. Because under Jurong Island, there's a big granite formation, and we're excavating caverns in the granite formation to provide storage space to support our petrochemical industry. You can store oil, you can store petrochemicals. Because you have the storage space, so we can have a petrochemical industry here. And because this is Singapore, and the industry is confident to be in Singapore, so a hole in the ground in Singapore is valuable, whereas elsewhere you can find holes in the ground for free. Healthcare. We've built the Pt4 hospital. This is a vegetable garden, but it is a vegetable garden on the roof of the Pt4 hospital. Managed by residents in Nee Soon, living nearby, volunteering, community effort, keep the roof green, keep the patients cheerful, and meanwhile they get some vegetables and fruits and flowers. They've even got coconut trees on the rooftop. But the next hospital is coming, Pt4 Hospital in Jurong in 3 years' time, and thereafter, I hope not too long after that, a new hospital in Sengkang. In education, we've got many things coming on, but I think this picture is the most beautiful. It's not a university, that's ITE College West in Choa Chu Kang. Opened this year, and it looks like a university, and what's inside it is even more interesting. They run classes, they've got cooking classes, culinary classes, and this one you'll see is a French chef and French students. They didn't join ITE. They are there because the ITE course is run jointly with the Institut Paul Bocuse in Lyon, in France. And here, the students and the instructor have come from France to spend time in the ITE, and they're teaching the students to prepare a 3-course meal. The next ITE is ITE Central, and I think the buildings will be better. It's in Ang Mo Kio Avenue 5 and will be open by 2013. We are building new townships. This one is already there, Punggol 21, Tree Lodge at Punggol. But many more flats are coming up in Punggol, and Punggol New Town, when it's done, this is the artist's impression of one of the views. So our new towns, our HDB estates will be different, and they won't just be HDB estates, but they will be in an urban landscape, because we're going to have the greenery all around it. In Marina Bay, Gardens by the Bay is almost complete. It'll be done by 2012, and if you go inside, you'll have the lush greenery. And it's not just going to be at Marina Bay. We are going to have parks and gardens in the heartlands also. This one is Bishan Park, and eventually we will have this in many other parks in Singapore, in the west, in the east, in the central area, and we'll link them all up to create a city in the garden. So we are building to keep Singapore special and exceptional. But even more important than our physical investments is our people. Building the sense of ownership and belonging. The instinct to stick together through thick and thin. The drive to surmount every challenge and persevere year after year to make Singapore better. We will be a more diverse society. It will be a challenge. But we've got to strengthen the forces that unite us and overcome the forces that pull us apart. We are Singaporeans together on a small island. We're anchored by our emotional links with family and friends, and by our shared sense of our history and our common destiny. We're not just here materialized out of nowhere, appeared out of a Transformer movie maybe. We came here somewhere, sometime, there was a history to it. And it's crucial to remember where we came from, how we got here. Whether it's Geylang, whether it's Little India, whether it's the events which we lived through, important milestones. These are the human stories of people, ordinary people, who struggle to improve their lives, and they live through war or hardship, or the turbulent early years of independence. And they achieved extraordinary results with good leadership. And they had fulfilling lives, and they made Singapore special. Recently, I attended the launch of Singapore Heritage Fest, and I made a speech about these human stories and emphasized how important they were. And it prompted a response in the Today newspaper by a lady, Angeline Koh, who was working on digital storytelling. And I think I should read a little bit of what she said, because it resonated with her. And she said, "What are memories and shared experiences but stories? And storytelling is what Singapore as a nation needs. There are unsung heroes in our midst. There are people we meet each day in our homes and in our schools, at work and in play. Our children need to realize they are heroes in the making. They have the power to become heroes by the brave and sacrificial choices they make to live well and for the good of others." So when we talk about history and national education and a sense of belonging, it's not just words and abstract concepts. It's really the stories of people, real people, what they lived through, what it meant for them. And that's why MICA is launching a Singapore Memory Project to capture, preserve, and showcase these memories. And they hope to collect 5 million memories by 2015, because that's our 50th anniversary. And the stories can come from anybody, any person, any community, any organization or institution which has experienced Singapore. And together, all these individual stories will weave the tapestry of our nation. They started in July. So far, they've collected 30,000+ stories. And I haven't read all of them, but I just pick up 2 memorable accounts to share with you. One is by a Mr. James Seah, who lived through the Bukit Ho Swee fire in 1961. And I read what he said, and I looked up some footage and some photos of the events, and it brings back to life a very traumatic moment for this young man. There was a dark, billowing smoke in the sky. The smell was toxic. People were shouting, "Fire, fire," screaming, shouting. My mother and I ran as fast as we could to flee away from burnt houses. There was a stampede. The older and weaker people were carried by younger and stronger ones. I noticed my neighbor's daughter knelt down on the ground to pray, staring at a darkened sky of smoke. They ended up in Kim Seng School. The school compound was crowded with thousands of fire victims, police, military personnel, doctors, nurses, and helpers. Tents were erected for registration of fire victims, cooking utensils to cook on the spot and supply meals. There was also milk powder for babies. My family visited the fire site and saw the shocking scene of the aftermath of the fire the following day. Within the week, my family was allocated an HDB 2-room flat at Margaret Drive. So that's one aspect of Singapore and how we got here. Another story, more cheerful, is the memory of Malaysia Cup 1994. Singapore versus Pahang. And this was by Mr. Muhammad Reza. I read his account. "I love showing support to the Lions battling it out at Malaysia Cup. I was 17 years old then, a mere schoolboy. When we were walking towards the stadium, there was this feeling of euphoria and anxiety, anticipating the match. As everywhere we went, fans of both sides were in their best country's colors. The feeling was simply awesome when the final whistle was blown, as if the whole of Singapore was there at Shah Alam." So I asked if we had the movie clip, so I'll share it with you.
Abbasad on the ball, the hero of the Singapore squad. And look at that pass to Fandi Ahmad. That was weighted to perfection. Could this be number 4 now? Fandi versus Khairul!
What a tremendous display!
Surely now, Singapore have won the Malaysia Cup.
I agree, Mark. There's no way back for Pahang.
The countdown begins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Singapore have won the 1994 Malaysia Cup.
So Mr. Muhammad Reza's comment is worth sharing with you too. He said, "The most memorable moment during the whole Malaysia Cup to me was not the players, instead the integrity of the fans to come together as one. And only in this competition where we see strangers become good friends and buddies become family. This is what I'm definitely hoping for in the next Malaysia Cup, and not so much of the win. But I hope the Lions win too. As we strengthen the sense of our common past, we must look ahead to create our shared future. We aim to be a fair and just society that nurtures and inspires the human spirit, a society that encourages people to go forth and do well for themselves and do good for the community. It depends on Singaporeans believing that we have created something special here, precious, that we must protect and improve, striving not just for material success but for ideals and dreams, serving with passion and the heart as well as the mind. We place our hopes in our youth, who are Singapore's future. And there are many young people who champion and volunteer for good causes, big and small, searching for ways to give back, and found many ways to give back. And one such young man is Mr. Hari Daran, son of Jagannathan. He was born with cerebral palsy, but it didn't deter him. He went on to do well for himself, and he's making a big effort to help others. He graduated from Ngee Ann Poly, and now he's working for Ministry of Finance. This is his office, Vital Shared Services. And he's active in community work in the Poly, in the NYC, National Youth Council, in grassroots organizations, even in the Toastmasters Club. And he also mentors other youths to do good for the community. Last year, he took part in the YOG Torch Relay. And I quote what he said: "My greatest achievement is in adapting to society with what I have, and at the same time playing my part in making it better. For this society is mine." Another young man who's also committed himself, done well for himself despite difficulties and difficult family circumstances, and is contributing back, is Mr. Muhammad bin Muhammad Johari. He is the eldest of 5 siblings. His parents divorced when he was 9 years old. His mother, who was Malaysian, took him back to KL, but he continued to study in Johor. His mother took him back to Johor, and he continued to study in Singapore. Every day, 4-hour bus ride. And he had to grow up quickly because the father was not in the family, and he was the eldest sibling, and he had to be the father figure in the family. So every day, 4 o'clock in the morning, get up, go to school. And not only made it on time for lessons, but topped his cohort in ITE College West this year, won the LKY Model Student Award, and got direct entry into electrical engineering, Ngee Ann Poly, 2nd year. And he's in Ngee Ann Poly now. He's an active volunteer. He's an active volunteer in the ITE before. He's an active volunteer in the Southwest CDC, and also last year in the YOG. And here's what he said when we asked him, why do you do this? He says, the reason I strive to be better is to improve on my own weakness. And it's my successes that ensure the well-being of my family. As a son, it is a responsibility I proudly carry and uphold. So young people like Hari and Muhammad embody the Singapore spirit. They are not alone. There are many more Singaporeans like them, young and perhaps not so young. And they're creating opportunity out of adversity, proving we can when others say we cannot, striving to make life better for our fellow men. Our task, this generation, is not just to make a beautiful Singapore to pass on to the next generation. Our task is to engage many more young people like Hari and Muhammad to make building this nation, building Singapore, their own mission, so that they embrace this passion, this responsibility to keep on transforming our nation for the better. We can and we must make this a special place we all call home. where we not only prosper but live in peace and harmony, where we not only have careers and opportunities but friends and families, where we share not just burdens and rewards but our worries and our joys, where we make tomorrow always a little bit better than today. So let's work together as one people to continue to build a bright future for Singapore, which will always be our home. Thank you very much. Good night.